Today, my guest is State Representative Jesse Chism, District 85. Welcome to the Veranda.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Kind of sort of family.
Yeah. And we are family.
Kind of sort of
We
family.
are family.
And you know, Memphis is a small city and everybody 6 degrees of separation, but we kind of sort of family.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the Veranda. Relax and tell me about State Representative Jesse Chism.
Man, so I'm State Representative Jesse Chism. I'm the son of William and Norma. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest brother in the house out of three of us. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My father and his brothers, they had the Chisholm Trail grocery stores back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. Like, I never knew the historical significance of what they were doing, because sometimes when the shoulders that we stand on, we don't
know the history.
We don't know the history, or nor do we fully appreciate what really happened.
And what the struggle was.
Yeah, and what the struggle was. My father and his brothers, they when they came up with the store, come to find out, they were in business between 1975 and 2014. When they closed in 2014, not only did Memphis not have a black-owned supermarket, but the United States of America did not have a black-owned supermarket. So that means we didn't control our food anymore. Because, before 2014, we didn't know what a food desert was.
And we got so many of them.
Yeah. The word food desert, I'm finding out, is a relatively new term. So I got a chance. I grew up in the grocery store. So anybody that came in the store in the early 90s, they saw a kid cutting meat. That was me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a butcher by trade.
Okay.
So something that my dad, he taught all his boys how to do. Shouts out to him too, my father William Chism, man.
Kinfolk.
Yeah, Father's Day just left us, and man, it's an honor to have somebody that taught me how to be a man, and somebody taught the value of hard work and the value of a dollar too. Right. So and that's something that has taken me where I am now. Hopefully, it takes me a little bit further. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Tell me where you went to school.
Okay. I'm gonna start at the very beginning.
Come on.
So my first school was Lakeview Elementary School, Lakeview Gardens. Then I went to John P. Freeman.
Okay.
After which I went to high school I went to Westwood for a little while.
Okay.
Then I came back and went to Overton, where I graduated in 1998. So after I graduated from high school, I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Graduated in 2003 with a bachelor's in business. So I majored in economics and marketing. Yeah. Then I got a master's at Union University, where I got that in education. Yeah.
So let me go back a little bit. When you were in high school, what did you want to be?
Man, when I was in high school, I wanted to be my dad. That's what I wanted to be.
I like that.
Because at the time, I still do now, but I thought my dad could walk on water.
I feel like that about my dad.
Yeah. And I know that's a narrative that we don't hear very often now.
And we should.
Mm-hmm.
But that stance or that situation has left us. Where we got the fathers that we can say, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that anymore.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to take up the entrepreneurial spirit. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and believe it or not, I always said I wanted to be in politics at some point.
Did you?
Yeah, but I thought I'd be much older when I did.
So, at what age did you really come to grips with the fact I want to be in politics?
Well, in 6th grade, we had a career day, and they had us dress up as the career we wanted to dress up as. We wanted to be. I put my best suit on. They said, just what are you? So I want to be president.
I like
Yeah. So, um, you know, it's kind of funny how coming into politics, I thought back to that moment when I first got elected. I thought about that moment. I said, man, when I was in sixth grade, I remember being in the cafeteria at Lakeview Elementary.
I'm glad I could bring that memory. But you know something? What you just said is key to the fact that if you can believe it and dream it, you can achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you got sixth grade, I don't be a politician, and here you are today. You are the active state representative for your district now. You're up for re-election. And I explain this every time I do an interview. One of the reasons I do this show is because I want people to see you.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a commercial.
Right.
This is not an advertisement. This is you. I want the people to know who you are and what you stand for. And in advertisement and commercials and billboards, they don't see that.
Right.
So today, people are going to know about you. I must add the fact that if you go to Conversations on the Veranda on Facebook and YouTube, there's a place where you can ask questions or comment or whatever. We're also asking that you share these videos because this gives the constituents the opportunity to meet them. Now, let me ask you this. Once you decided to get into politics, what prompted you to pick the role you wanted to play in politics?
So I chose the state level because I knew there was an area where we didn't have as much representation as we could have, in our city council and our county commission, and here in the city of Memphis, we're a majority,
Right.
and that goes black and Democrat. So we're the majority in this county. But I knew that at the state capitol, it was polar opposite, where we make up 70% of Memphis. Well, we make up about 20% of the state of Tennessee. So that means most of our people of color are centrally located here in Memphis for the most part. So I actually wanted to go behind enemy lines.
See that now that's smart and that's strategic.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you're in politics, my father, like your father, I can props to mine. My dad was a smart man, I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going side note because it's my show and I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
My dad always taught me that if you want to know something or do something or attain something, always, he says, like chess.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be prepared to know, well, if I'm going to make this move, what moves are they going to make?
Right.
And you have to be prepared for that next move. And you have a lot of people that just go into situations all willy-nilly for a job, for the fame. But you have very few that go into politics with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a purpose. Let me ask you this. So with that being said, explain your job. Explain what you do.
As a state representative, our job is to create the framework for laws created for the state of Tennessee. So the laws that we create at the state capitol, it applies to everybody from Memphis to Bristol. So, and we also vote on the state's budget. So our constitutional duty is to come up with the state's budget. With this year, it was I think 43 billion. I could be off, but it was a little bit up due to federal dollars that came to the state of Tennessee. But for the most part, as a state representative, we come up with the laws for the state, and we create the state's budget.
So, what are some of the laws that you have put before the state that have passed and that are in, if you talk about that,
okay,
that have passed or that have caused some uproar?
Okay. Well, we can start with the bill that we just we fresh off the press. We just passed this past session. So let me put the framework together for it. So I've had a crusade, so to speak, to end the practice of solitary confinement in our prisons.
Okay. And that means solitary confinement.
That
means you locked down by yourself for so many
23
days
and 1.
in a dark hole for something you did.
Uh-huh.
Whether you deserve it or not, it's still an issue.
Right.
Okay.
And that's a barbaric practice.
Okay.
That it doesn't help rehabilitate people.
No,
it create monsters.
For that time, you're gonna come out angrier.
Right. Right.
You're gonna come out with a more violent attitude than you went in.
Right. So they did a study on dogs, and with these dogs, they kind of put the same practice for the dogs: 23 hours a day inside a small room
and
1 hour out. Those dogs tend to act differently than the dogs that have space. You know, and the other part is people. As people, we can have some of the same trauma that a canine had by being isolated. You know, people, as humans, we are social creatures. You know, we learn from each other. When we interact with each other, it helps us live. So when you put a person in a state of isolation, we do more damage than we do harm. We do more damage than we do good. So this year, I passed House Bill 862, and what that bill did, it ended solitary confinement for pregnant prisoners.
Wow, you mean they put pregnant women in solitary?
Yeah, up until until July 1, they've been putting pregnant women in solitary confinement, and yes, that's something that's
y'all hear that?
Yeah. So there's no reason that a woman should carry a child, give birth to a child, or nurse a child in a state of isolation. Because not only is it harmful for the mother, it's also harmful for the child as well.
Now I'm very appreciative of that, because that's something I didn't know, and that is barbaric.
Mm-hmm.
That is, irregardless to the crime, that puts an impact on that child,
right,
as well.
Right.
I appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
I applaud you
Yeah.
for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was a bipartisan effort.
Okay.
You know, so with there only being 26 Democrats and 73 Republicans, I use somebody else's term. I heard a couple of weeks ago they said politics is math. So to get anything passed, we need 50 votes. And in order to get 50 votes, we have to convince people who may not agree with us.
On the other side.
Yes, people who are on the other side. So we have to have support on the other side.
Now, I really want to applaud you for that, and I think that my audience would do that as well, because that is something that is unbeknownst to me, and it's a lot. I don't know. It's a few things I know, but that was something that struck a nerve, because that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Tell me something else.
Okay. So we also, I'm gonna stay on solitary confinement.
Okay.
So we've also pushed legislation to end solitary confinement for juveniles as well.
Okay.
So each summer I do a prison tour. So I tour the prisons. So this year I started on the juvenile detention facilities. Okay. And they actually showed me the areas where the solitary confinement unit. And I was a little disappointed because of
and these are juveniles.
These are juveniles. So let's call them what they are, children. Mm-hmm. So you put a child in 23 and 1, what kind of adult do you think we're making?
You're positioning him to fail.
Right. Because right now we talk a lot about trauma. We talk a lot about adverse childhood experiences. But as a state, if we're creating the childhood, we're creating a criminal. So
now, I think that I'm listening to you talk, and I see that prison reform and the prison situation has a big meaning to you. Mm-hmm. And it bothers me because you look at the percentage of our black men that are incarcerated. Now I'm going to refer back to my father as well. My father was instrumental. He worked at Tall Trees.
Okay, I remember Tall
My
Trees.
father was one of the first African American psychological counselors at Tall Trees. And my father was instrumental in, I can't name the number of young black men that he kept from going to the penitentiary.
Mm-hmm.
And when he died, a lot of these guys showed up to his funeral. A lot of them called me. Some, stayed on their path, but a lot of them have become ministers, teachers, coaches, and they all attribute that to my father because the prison system is so flawed back then. So it has gotten worse now because it's a money thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about we get 50 prisoners, we're gonna make $50 million, not that much, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So I appreciate that. Come on, tell me something.
Yeah. Okay. So I've also worked on a piece of legislation called a micro business act. So that's something that we still have in works. So what we're trying to do is give a shot in the arm to our small businesses across the state, especially those minority businesses, black businesses, women-owned businesses, because our small businesses is the driver for the engine that is our state.
That's right.
So we have to protect our small businesses because they scratch the back of our large corporations. Because many of the suppliers of our large corporations, they are small businesses. So we have to, in order to protect our community, we have to protect small business. Because if I own a business and you own a business, we get to create opportunities.
That's where I was going to go.
And back to our people who have been in prison, who are getting out of prison, we have to have opportunities for people so they don't have to revert back to crime. So I believe that's a good starting point is where economics lie.
Do you think that, not as a politician, but as a constituent, do you think that Memphis politically is being all it can be for our people?
Here in Memphis, we have some room for growth. Matter of fact, let me rephrase it. We have a great opportunity
For growth.
For growth. We have an opportunity to take advantage of what we have here in Memphis. I've been all over the state, and Memphis is the greatest place in the world to me. So many people have a lot of things to say about Memphis, but Memphis, we have a populace of people who, although we may not agree on everything, but we agree on principle on a lot of things. Like I tell people all the time, from a political standpoint, before I got into politics, I used to hear the rumor all the time that black politicians don't work together.
Well, I got to interject right there because there's some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I'm not just harping on black politicians. I'm harping on politicians in general.
Mm-hmm.
So many of our politicians in Memphis, and yeah, I'm going to say it again, so many of our politicians in Memphis are there for a job. They're not there for a purpose.
Right.
They're not there to rectify or to relieve some of the issues that are in Memphis. They make all these promises, and then they get in office, and they kick back until the next election. And that's when you see them taking pictures and I did this, you didn't do nothing. I'm not calling names, but the shoe fit tied up. But I got this. So, but I'm serious because we've got some politicians, and I love them, and they're serious, and they're fair, and they do what they say they're gonna do. I'm not calling names, but you know who you are. Then we have that other, which is a plethora of them that show up and show out and don't do jack until time to be elected.
Yeah.
None of those are on my porch, I promise you. But Memphis politics has become so tainted and it's sad
Mm-hmm.
because as the constituents, we put these people in office. We trust you. We listen to tell these lies. You got a nice suit on. You
Mm-hmm.
smell good. You look good. You so and so's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
You showed up to pat the baby hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then you get in office, you won't even take some of these folks' calls.
Mm-hmm.
I know a politician's job is not to be the answer to all, but at least have compassion to listen.
Right.
And some of them don't even do that. Come on, tell me some more. Tell me something else.
Okay. So I'm a talk about the part you just mentioned. Well, I'm finding out as I go from place to place. I'm finding out most of the political environments in different cities. Uh, there can be I'm not gonna say a crab mentality. There is if you have so many different um, issues and you have so many different mindsets and you have so many different agendas. That was the word I was looking for at first.
I had the word. I was gonna wait till you put it out.
So you got so many different agendas.
When there's just, it might just be one particular issue,
mm-hmm.
but you got 1,100 different agendas to solve that issue.
There you go.
And they can't come together to in other words, you got a train going down the track,
mm-hmm.
but you got 1,100 folks who want to be the engine.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't come together and everybody get on the train and
mm-hmm.
solve the problem. That is our problem.
Right.
That is a not a political problem, not a world problem. Yeah, it is. That's a black problem.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to get caught up in our egos, get caught up with, I don't like this person. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at it like this. If you dislike me because of something you heard or something somebody said, keep disliking me. I appreciate you. Because they let me know I'm sparking your interest in some form of way. But that's our mentality. And to move forward in this political process and to make this a better place, we've got to learn to come together, not just for pictures, not just for events or something. We've got to learn to come together. Well, how can I help you further what we're trying to do? How can I help you and make it work?
Right. I think it's important that for all of us to have the same roadmap, because what I'm finding is everybody wants to go to the same place, but everybody got a different directions on how to go there, and everybody fight over what are the true directions.
And half of them ain't got a map.
And if we just pick a direction and stick in it and just go ahead and go that way, we will get a lot further than we can imagine.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about nonpartisan elections? What's your opinion on that?
It depends on the position. On certain positions, like school board, for example. Of course, people pretty much know what your affiliation is, but positions like school board, I don't believe we need to have the title. What side you on? Whether you Democrat or Republican?
Because that's gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
That's gonna make a difference. I know that there are some questions being brought up about presenting this to city council about seeking nonpartisan.
Yeah. So
I don't think I kind of sort of think we're ready, but I kind of sort of think we're not.
Right. So this year, I believe that bill passed too, to make some of our, I think it was school board races, to make them partisan. I voted against that because when you put those titles on those positions, you also have the expectations of those parties.
And they will show up.
And there is a place for parties, but I think when we're talking about our schools education system, we need to stay on one talking point and stay on one road.
Tell me one story your political career that has really touched your heart?
So when the world shut down for COVID, during that time, Department of Human Services, they did not have the resource nor the personnel to field all of the unemployment claims. So, as state representatives, a lot of us, we came in and pulled tickets from our district to push through at the Department of Human Services. So I had this mother of 6, I believe. I think it was 6, and she hadn't had any income from the time COVID started. But March, and I believe by the time she called my office, it was October, and she had already lost a lot of things, and our office was able to help her get start on the unemployment, but they went retro and paid her for when the claim started. And when she called my office, she called and she cried. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a wimp. I cried too. Yeah, I cried too, because just hearing her story, having to fight just to put food on the table, having to choose between whether the children eat today or they have a roof over their head.
And those are hard choices.
Those are hard choices.
Those are hard choices, and I can empathize with that because I've been in situations similar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed, devil for the grace of God go
That's
out.
right.
But you have to look at some people tend, and that goes back to political agendas.
Right.
Some people, you just show compassion. Okay, I see that in you, but that's something that some people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is a requirement of a politician.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you got statutes and laws and all that kind of stuff you got to follow. But by the same token, you have to have empathy and concern for people.
That's right.
To show that, hey, I'm a person too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you've never been in that situation. Yeah, but for the grace of God, you could be.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like that.
Yeah,
that was hard.
Most of us are a paycheck away.
A paycheck.
Just one.
And some of them ain't getting a paycheck.
Some of us are just one paycheck away. And adversity doesn't have a name on it. It can happen to anybody. So, compassion is something that we all have to have as humans anyway. Because without passion, especially in politics, if you don't have compassion, you're going to burn out fast. Because you're in the business of people.
I'll tell you something I find interesting in your conversation. Your procedures and your interests involve people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you're concerned with the welfare of people.
Mm-hmm.
You're concerned with making it, you're not taking sides. In other words, these are criminals.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not looking at the crime.
Right.
You're looking at the humane side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Tell me something that you want the constituents to know about you. Talk straight in the camera and tell the people something you want them to know.
Well, let me sit up for this then. Hold on. Well, I want people to know that I care. I want people to know that you have somebody who's willing to roll their sleeves up, who's willing to come in early, stay late, or someone who is willing to put their ego in their pocket. Because many times we try to get our point across more so than we try to be right. So I'm willing to lose an argument or lose a conversation in order to win what we're trying to do at the end of it. I think it's really important for people to love people before they get into this. I'm somebody that love people, and it's vitally important for all of us to continue moving. I believe that we are in a lot of fights that we can win. We've talked about being in a super minority. We've talked about being behind enemy lines. We've talked about a lot of the adversity that comes with what we're doing. But I tell you, me and many of the constituents and colleagues that I work with, we're boxing above our weight class. Even though Democrats only have 26 members, we're passing legislation, and we're passing heavy legislation as well. So I want people to be encouraged. Because we are in some fights that not only we can win, that we are winning. And I'll be honest with you, I bring this up. Sometimes we do a lot of work, but don't get credit for it.
Yeah.
Our representatives from Memphis, when we go to Nashville, we go there with sort of a target on our back a lot of times, because a lot of times they try to make it seem like Memphis is not a part of Tennessee, and we're tasked with the duty to show them that Memphis is not only a part of Tennessee, we're the best part of Tennessee. So, most of the culture of this state came from us. A lot of the money that's spread across this state comes from us. So, Memphis is a jewel. Memphis is actually a place where a lot of other people want to be. And one of the reasons that they spread some of the narrative that we hear about Memphis across the state is because, when you're doing something real good, people always try to point out that one thing that's right.
Pat you on the back.
So that's what they try to do to Memphis. They try to pat us on the back to shut us up. And then they talk about us a lot, but man, Memphis is the greatest place on earth. Yeah.
This is State Representative Jesse Chism, District 86.
85.
85. Sorry. I want y'all to vote for him. I like him. Yeah, he can. Yep. But besides that, he's the best man. I know it's not supported. I want y'all to vote for him. I want to thank you for coming to the Veranda today. I want you all to look at this video, learn your channel. I want you to share this video. I want you to go to the polls. I want you to vote for this young man. Jesse Chism. Jesse Chism. Look at the video, share it, and vote for Jesse Chism. Thank you for coming to the Veranda.
Thank you. It's an honor. We're here live from the Veranda. This is the best interview I've done all year with my lady, my friend, Ms. Angela Barksdale. She is so important to not only the city of Memphis, but to the state of Tennessee. So I'm just glad to be here. And before we get out of here, let me let all of you know that you can do it. Whatever it is you're trying to do it so well that no man living, no man dead, no man yet to be born can do it any better.
And one thing I learned, when you do whatever you do, the haters out there, make them want to know if you have. Peace out.
That's it.